So I've seen the question out there a million times in different homebrew network stuff, uh, other pages in craft beer, and the question is, can you start a one barrel brewery? Yes, but okay. So I've done a lot of research on this topic, helped out a few businesses with different business plans and consulting and stuff like that. Um, but the heavy but comes from location. Okay, if you're in the middle of New York City, unless you're this in this tiny neighborhood and just plan on working your butt off, yeah, it could work. If you're in a small town, yes, it could work. But you always have to look at the butt. For one reason, a lot of people start with one barrel because they can grow. Okay, cool. That does work as long as you plan on working your butt off until then, and then planning to upgrade your equipment soon and getting ready to grow. Um, you always hear, well, as long as you have food with it too. No, you don't have to have food with it. With different, at least with Michigan laws, you can bring in a sandwich if you want, pizza, something like that, and have that with your beers. Or you can just plan to have food later, but you don't need that right away, if at all. But really, it's going to be as long as you know your location can handle it, but also you aren't undermining the market and are overreaching yourself. Because if you're in a crowded market, a one barrel brewery might work. If there's five, let's say you're in a small town and there's five breweries, and you're number six with a one barrel brewery, you better be really good because you're gonna have to already compete against that. Or if you're in a small town and there's no other breweries, then that one barrel will work. You just have to get ready to grow. Um, is really depends on your market and how close to other brewers are by, or how close they are. Be ready to scale though. You always see one barrel brewers that had two barrel fermenters and they're double batching them, and then they kind of moved up the ladder from there. Um, and they were ready for that growth and anticipated it, but it was more of a cost factor at the beginning, is why they didn't start with anything bigger like a three or five barrel system. Um, it also is a good way to test the market too. So you might think there's a good market, but a one barrel's safer to start with. Um, is cheaper, but then you also have to start getting ready to replace that and scale up soon. You have to still have to make sure you have proper equipment though for fermenting and for serving. By that I mean, are you able to cold crash? Are you able to keep the temperature control safely? Um, the temperature control can be a huge part of your brewing process. You you make sugary water that is used to make beer. Have you ever heard that before? That's because you can do anything you want and everything you can in your power to make sure the water is perfect and your sparge is perfect and the temperatures are perfect, all for um, a good beer to get in, or a good wort to get into the fermenter, but then the raw temperature can ruin your beer. So make sure that's part of your whole plan. Glycol or a cooler or something, or the ambient temperature doesn't always work, so I would be careful of that as if that's your game plan. And then for serving, um, one business plan came across to me, and I was asked to review it and stuff. It had the idea to um, use the regular corny kegs, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Sankey kegs to fill the beers. And there was two things wrong. One, didn't have a keg washer in there. Those were between 2 and 10 grand. So that's something that that person did not prepare for. Next, they were planning on using plastic fermenters, which is fine and doable. They had the temperature control aspect covered, but they didn't have a way to pressurize to fill the Sankey kegs. So they ended up switching out to corny kegs. That worked eventually. They just had to adjust the plan, and they were somewhat ready with that. Now another thing with a one barrel brewery, get ready to work. I've seen so many times where people say I I can't keep up with demand. Um, they were sometimes out of beers and stuff like that. So just get ready to work. That is going to be for sure your biggest thing if you start with a one barrel brewery. So yes, it can happen, and yes, it's the best way to start if you're looking to grow, and then use that your cash flow to fund the next step up and grow like this, sort of thing. So like let's say you start with a one barrel, you have one barrel system, one barrel fermenters. Okay, now you start, then you go to 3 barrel fermenters or something, and you double batch to get there. Well, then you see the point. You just kind of do one after another, but you can't replace all your equipment overnight, likely. It's still one of the harder financeable businesses a brewery is. So you have to kind of do it yourself on cash flow, and a 1 barrel brewery can help you do that. Um, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm definitely glad to help out in that aspect, especially if looking over your business plan and stuff like that. I'm on Fiverr for that as well, or just send me a message. Thanks. Leave a comment too.